Episode 21, first one, all by my lonesome. If you're a first-time viewer, you might not know this, but any of the fans will know I have quit Ski Mask Media. I've quit the Ski Mask Collective. We got to address the elephant in the room because I know there's a lot of rumors circling around. Fens was going to get fired. Did Fens quit this, that, and the other? So I'm just going to give it to you straight. I just decided to strike out on my own. Love those guys. There's no bad blood as on my side, at least, as towards Ski Mask or obviously me or Stancil. I don't know how he's feeling. Love the kid to death. I got no ill will towards him, but I just wanted to let all the fans, all the listeners know that I did, in fact, quit this morning. I talked to Ski Mask and started on my own started my own YouTube, started my own RSS feed, whatever you call it for the audio. So anything else you hear about that, complete fake news. So you're hearing it from the horse's mouth. I quit. It's just offensive now. Love those boys. I wish them great success. I'd love to have them on or go back on their show whenever, and I'm obviously probably still going to chill with them. So that being said, we got it out of the way. Let's introduce our fucking guest today, dude. You know him from Cumtown, being Bam's manager and all his shenanigans, and also those couple episodes of Cumtown that are fucking huge. Vinny fucking Beedle. What's going on, brother?
Hey, man. How you doing? Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on, taking the time. Vinny, I fucking loved you since I heard you on Cumtown. You're fucking hilarious. All the escapades you get into. I've heard quite a few stories. Not just like obviously on podcasts and shit, but my buddies who are in like the Connecticut comedy scene and shit like that. But we got a lot to talk about, my friend. We're going to get into all that. So, but yeah, dude, the first time I heard you was on Cumtown. That episode you did with Gene and Bam, the fucking were you guys at Gene's Club? Is that why he was on there?
Yeah, I had been producing shows at Gene's Club for some time, and we had a show the night before. No, yeah, it was the night before at Gene's Club. So it was a good place for Bam to meet because, you know, it's like talking to a child sometimes when you like are giving him directions. So you have to be like, it's the same place we were at last night, because they wanted us to go to Nick's place in Brooklyn, but it just seemed like there would have been too much from Gene's Club to Brooklyn that would have been in the way of Bam not being there, you know. So we were at Gene's Club. It was called Central Stage, and it was actually Gene's brother's club, and Gene's brother brought him in to help him run the club, and Gene had to bring in a bunch of money, and then the brother ran off, I think, with like 50 or 100 grand. It was something like that. And so Gene was kind of left hanging, and that's how I met Gene. And he didn't, you know, he's a singer and he knows how to put together stuff. He's a hustler, great guy. And, you know, he wanted me to get big names in there for him. You know, he believed that big names would sell tickets. I mean, we were in Yonkers in like a shopping center, so it was really
Is that where that was? Because I don't know. It's in Yonkers?
Oh, yeah, it's in Yonkers, New York. Yeah. And we did a show with Artie Lange, actually, before that at Gene's place, which is another awesome, you know, experience. But so Gene and me had a rapport already, you know, and I had known him for a while, and I still talk to him a lot, you know, and he's begging me to get back into my hustle mode, you know, because he really loves that about me. But I'm just trying to do things a little more strategically these days. And I feel like I mean, a lot happened, you know, so it was just time to kind of regroup. And
he's not shut down through this, a fucking comedy club in a strip mall in Yonkers.
So that club is gone, but Gene still lives on. And that guy is like, this club is him. It was just four walls, really. It's like that guy is what made that place, you know.
Yeah. He was
I feel like anywhere he goes, he's the guy. Great. And that's one thing I've been telling the Cumtown guys. Like, Gene wants to go on the show, and he wants to come on here. He wants to go on anywhere he can. He's a really good interview, man, because he's one of the only old school guys left that's on the internet but doesn't really know like what the fuck's going on, kind of. You know, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was great, man. I mean, he fucking crushed it on Cumtown, which they don't have many guests, but I mean, that's a hot, especially for like an old guy who doesn't even know who the fuck they are. You know what I mean? He did. Well, it was unbelievable.
Well, I mean, after the first time I went on Cumtown, I got it hard from the fans. Like, I was voted on YouTube as like the worst guest ever, and all this craziness, and like 100 things written about me on Reddit and all this stuff.
For sure.
But, you know, I didn't know at the time that was a good thing, because that's actually, I was getting most of the attention from the show. But Bam and Gene, great guests. Like, overall, I feel like it was like almost like a special for Cumtown. Like once a year, they should bring on like 5 different guests like that and just blow everybody out at once, you know?
They love Bam, so having them on. I mean, why else would they drive out to Yonkers from Brooklyn? You know what I mean? They're not going to drive out there for, you know.
I never listened to the show really. Like, I just had a bunch of people hit me up when I started doing the stuff with Bam saying, go on Cumtown, go on Cumtown. And, you know,
Because
so
they
I was
always
like,
talk about Bam. They love
right.
him.
So we actually had a show that same day booked at Anthony Cumia.
Yep.
So I was like, oh, let's double down and try to get like as many shows as we can. So I called, you know, I hooked up with these Cumtown guys, and they didn't want me on the show at all. Of course, you know, like obviously I'm nobody to them, and I didn't really even know how big their show was really. But you know, I'm like, why the fuck am I doing all this? I'm gonna be on. I don't care if they hate me. Like that's just the way it is. Me and Bam. It wasn't like a show where I opened for Bam. Me and Bam were on stage together the entire time. So we were the show together collectively. I actually spoke more than he did on stage because he didn't really know what to do. So I feel as though to promote the show properly, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, and
know?
also you were kind of like, I mean, were you his manager? Is that what you would?
His manager was there. I would classify myself as his tour manager, somebody that handled the tour only. Like he has a lot of facets to his life. He's a skater, he's an artist, he's a musician, he's this, he's that. So I don't really control any of that other shit except the tour, really. And I wrote with him. I tried to do a lot of writing with him, and I spent a lot of time with him as a friend. You know what I mean? But besides that, I did the comedy, of course. And I organized all the shows, but I had been doing that before I met him anyways, you know? So
yeah. Cause you were a comic before you met him. That's how you guys kind of hooked up and started being like, hey, let's do comedy type shows, like whatever he's doing. He's just talking to the fans basically, right? He's not doing stand up.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, essentially
just telling stories and shit.
Right? Yeah, he tried. He had good moments. And then we did stunts on stage. We'd kick people in the balls or slap them in the face and shit. And you know, it kind of evolved as it went, but we only did about 4 or 5. And then we had a whole bunch booked, and he would kind of cancel them one by one, but not cancel them until last minute. Like always keep me hanging. Like, don't worry, things are going to, you know, and as it got worse with him canceling, he was convincing me that it was more of an angle for me to grow because he was convinced that he weren't going to like me for being like funny, and like they were gonna like me for hating me, and you know, he really fueled that into me, that the reality, like he's not a comedian, so the reality TV aspect of it would be that if they hate me, they're still watching. And so
like no bad press, no such thing.
But he never showed up. It was like he always would say, you know, the big bang is going to be when we finally do shows again, and like all these people are like, you know, they were fucking with us or something, but then he just never did it. And it's because alcohol and meth and Adderall, whatever the hell he was doing, took over, and it just was too much for him to kind of, his promises were too much that he can handle. We've all been through that, but you know,
it
was at a grander scale, you know,
for sure, dude. He's on like a whole nother level of like, he's been that famous since I was a fucking kid, dude. I remember watching MTV, like channel 28 when there was like 70 channels, and like he'd be on there, you know, and he looks like a completely different person now. You know what I'm saying? He's turning into Phil.
But he does have that like teenager spirit though. It's super strange.
Yeah. Well, because it's like that skater thing. They kind of, when you're a skater, you kind of like, you don't really develop past, you know, your early 20s. You're just like, I'm still skateboarding and partying and fucking chicks.
Well, and he even became famous even before his 20s. So I think he never really,
exactly.
I think alcohol was his only way to evolve as an adult. Like I could drink and party, and I'm an adult now. You know what I mean? Like,
so that was his thing, was like obviously booze, but meth. It wasn't, no heroin, nothing like that.
No, I didn't even see him really do anything besides like his daily Adderall, which seemed more like a prescription. It was in a prescription bottle. But what I would hear later on after the destruction, you know, the first time he canceled shows at West Side Comedy Club in New York City, the next day I was, you know, on the hook for a hotel bill he trashed and all this, you know, canceling the show and all the money we put into the productions for the show and other future things he was canceling. And I called his dad, and his dad actually, you know, like gave me about $4 or $5 grand if I drove to Philly to get it, you know, and like helped out that one time.
Damn.
But his dad was like, yeah, you know, when Bam's on the crack, he acts kind of funny, you know? And I'm like, crack? It's the first time I heard of that. I swear to God. Yeah. And I was like, well, it explains a lot. But, you know, when you're dealing with a guy from Jackass, the extreme measures he goes to in public and shit, you're kind of thinking he's trying to impress you. So you're not sure if it's fucking crack or not. I mean, it's not like he smelled like weed like I do or anything, you know? You know, but then I ended up finding out, you know, once you get into like Bam's circle and you actually start to run things, which people hate hate to admit it, but I did at one point. You know, you start to see the people around, and one guy really wants to like you, so he comes up to you and he's like, you know, I know who gets Bam meth. And that's the first time I heard that. So it's super weird. I'm in like his house and I'm like, you know, I went to his parents and even, and I don't give a fuck who hears this, honestly, but I went right to Phil in April and I was like, you keep blaming me like when stuff happens, but yeah, I'm telling you, like, I'm not normally like a snitch, but I know who's getting a meth. If you really, if you guys are trying to put this on me and you really think that this is a problem, like I know the people around him that are causing it. And they wanted more to push the narrative that him being at shows or in public doing appearances was going to put him on meth. And I tried to convince them that, you know, like obviously if he wants to get high, he's going to get high, but
for sure, dude.
You know, you know, he doesn't, and he even said that to me. I don't need Vinny Beedle to get a 6-pack, and he would say that in front of people too. You know what I mean? But the bottom line is, I do think you could limit how many meth dealers are around him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. You cut off
it's
the
not
supply.
like I sell meth, dude. I don't know where to get it, you know? So
another thing though, an addict's gonna find his shit, bro. You fucking say his best friend so-and-so selling a meth, dude. He'll fucking be walking around whatever avenue looking for it. You know?
That was the scary thing about working with Artie was Artie would always joke on stage. It wasn't really a joke, but he would always say, I'm staying, you know, at the Marriott room 306, bring me as many drugs as you can. And he would say that every night on stage to the crowd. And, you know, not only his best friend, Dan, who was his security at the time, also was getting high with Artie, I'm sure. But, you know, me, I had to stop many fans from giving him drugs, like in the middle of the show and stuff, you know, it's
shit.
like, oh, dude. You're talking
did you work with him
30s.
Before, Bam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you're talking about guys in their 30s and 40s, like coming up to him like, hey, Artie, I love you. You want to party? And he's trying to like put it in his hand. And I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here, man. Like it might've been cocaine a few times, but it's just, they'll do it. They love them and they think that they're a party. And obviously these are people who are probably addicted as well. So they want to party with the famous person, you know? But the craziest part about Artie was he actually had a lookalike dude in his 20s who actually dressed just like him, tried to sound just like him, everything. He was much younger than him.
I think I've seen this guy online. And he's like an Artie impersonator, right?
Well, he was a guy that would always make sure Artie got to a hotel, got drugs. They would do drugs together. And he was another character I found out, you know, I was working with him. So, you know, what's funny is these people are kept down low around these big celebrities so long that when someone like me comes around and starts shaking things up, they'll easily all band together and just fucking like,
but get the fuck out of here. It was just
that and scapegoat you out. You know, like the other thing about Bam is he has such powerful friends, like for example, Steve-O, you know, and like I never met the guy or anything, but you know, basically his Bam's wife or his manager would call him and say, you know, Vinny doing these shows is directly leading to Bam doing meth. And Steve-O would, you know, start to threaten me and shit. And it would be
because he's sober now. He's like, fuck that. Because he just hears this and goes, fuck this guy. Right.
Exactly. And he, you know, his thing is too, is he's really stupid. I feel like truthfully, just because he's famous and like makes a lot of money and shit, like he's kind of dumb because he's
just a dumb guy, whether he's sober or fucked up for sure.
Yeah. Like, dude, his best thing that I ever liked was 50 Cent throwing him down a flight of stairs. So, to me, that's, I don't know. But anyways, I felt that a lot of his energy, because he was coming at me the hardest and never even met me, was because me and Bam's shows were really doing ridiculous numbers of people. Not only were we doing tons of people, I mean, between 200 and 400 people, but we were also selling tickets between like 60 and like $500, you know?
Yeah, so, you guys were crushing it for that little short span where like you were doing that before. Because obviously you did that episode of Cumtown.
But if you think about it, right? If you think about it, you know, I mean, everything like, I actually just got leaked some emails last week from one of the promoters that lost money during this process with Bam in Boston. And the kid, you know, I've only been able to send him a little bit of money here and there to try to pay it back because I don't have that kind of money. Like when this fell apart, realistically, between my business and others, there could have been close to 150 grand just dumped down the toilet.
What could you say? What comedy club? Because that's where I'm at. Was it Boston Comedy Club or not?
It wasn't. No, see, the thing with Bam is like comedy clubs weren't booking us, but we were getting booked through just like super, you know, fans or people that wanted opportunities to work with Bam. So
it's like whatever venue we
they had to be big enough too, because of like the first one we did in Detroit had 400 people there and they were all standing. So it was like a really like, you know, comedy clubs, it wouldn't be good. We did do places like Jeans, or we tried to do West Side, but you know, Bam destroyed West Side Comedy Club when he got there. So I'd say
that was his freak out, right? The video you see him in the fucking the front area there.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to talk about that, like that's a cool story. So, the night before
Yeah, let's go there. So you guys go on Cumtown. Most of the fans will know exactly what episode.
Yeah.
Bam and Vinny go on Cumtown. They do a show at West Side, and Cumtown is literally like they think it's hilarious, which it is. He did Cumtown, and then immediately like ruined his life even more. Like he just fell off the map immediately after that. But go ahead. So what happened at that night from your perspective?
So we did Cumtown, and then actually it was the next day. We were supposed to go to New York City. So actually I got him a hotel outside of Connecticut so I could go home, sleep, wake up, drive back from Hartford all the way through to New York again, pick him up. So I pick him up at about 10 a.m. and he's already got a bottle of vodka in his hands, bro. Like as I'm picking him up from this hotel. He destroyed the hotel. This is the one that Phil paid me for. He destroyed the hotel. He went to Michael's craft store and bought a bunch of paint and glitter and like destroyed the hotel with it. And it was fucking insane. And then he had more of that too in his bag and stuff. And so he's like, he has the bottle of vodka and he's like normal. He's like kind of, I was so real, bro, that his little act of destroying shit, which he had done probably with a couple dozen other people, when he would see my face, it was like he almost didn't want to do it, but he knew he was like ready to, like he had been so used to fighting he was fighting with his wife the night before because she found him with meth. That's the truth, in the hotel room. And they had their son there too. You know?
I remember the kid was like on the podcast, Phoenix, right?
Yeah,
Is his name?
yeah.
Poor
Phoenix
fucking
Wolf.
kid, man. I got a 1-year-old, man. That's fucked. I got a 1-year-old son. That
I meet Bam for 5 minutes. I'm with Bam for 5 minutes of meeting him at his house the first time, and he hands me his son. He's like, "Hold him for a minute," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm a fucking stranger."
Jesus, dude.
You know,
let's see what this kid turns out. He might crush it.
He's all right. Listen.
How's the wife? Is she a nut too or not? I don't know who it is, what she's like.
Nikki was very accepting of me at first because we'd have conversations like this and I would say to her, you know, these are the people you don't want around them. These are the people you do want around them. I want to be here to make money. The first time I ever met with Nikki, we sat down at a bar in Pennsylvania with Bam, Nikki, and like 10 of his friends. And I was with 2 comedian friends of mine and me. And I had explained to him that, you know, and I had said it in King's podcast that I had just done. And I had said that, basically, you know, Live Nation in Detroit had taken so much money from the door, about 75% of it, that even if I made a ton of money off of him, that if I controlled everything, he would make way more money. And we just I just showed him flat out that they were giving him about maybe 25% of the total ticket revenue. And it just wasn't adding up. He brought everybody there, you know? So basically after that, he was so stressed out having to make a decision like that to hire me that he stormed out of the restaurant, smoking a cigarette out there furiously. His wife gets up, she smiles at me, she goes, "Just give me a second," goes back, comes in, slams like, you know, a piece of paper with their phone numbers on the table, and it's like, "You're hired. He likes you. He wants to do it," you know?
That must have been sick.
Oh,
like, yo, this is fucking Bam Margera. He's huge. Like, that's sick.
To pitch to a celebrity like that, and he's sober. Dude, me and Bam spent a lot of our time very sober together, and that's where I get super mad at him. Is we had like so many real talks where I'm like, dude, stop doing this.
Yeah, cut the shit, buddy.
You know,
you could be a he is a multi-millionaire.
Well, he always assured me though that it was all part of a comedy plan, that none of it was going to phase out to be real, and that there was going to be a big payoff for me in the end. You know what I mean? And that was his thing. That was his argument with me, which, look, man, I mean, I'd done comedy for 10 years and had a lot of like good nights, but a lot of failures. And I just felt like, fuck, man, like this could be my chance. I can't be telling him, like, I could tell him what to do. I can't tell him like, this guy made himself this, you know, like maybe there was something to that, you know, and I just gave it a chance. But Nikki, you know, we did this Castle Bam party in the middle of our comedy tour that they had already done.
Was that the one where everyone pissed in the hot tub or some shit like that? Yeah,
they
I
tried
remember
to.
that.
They tried to.
Yeah.
Yeah, the piss hot tub's famous, man. You know, that story's fucking hysterical, but it's been told so many times. Basically, they couldn't fill it, and Bam made me get watercoloring and shit to try to fill it. But it was because a bunch of state troopers had surrounded his entire property and wouldn't let us do this party. And I wasn't really in control of promoting the party at the time. I was there because we had just done some shows and then we're leading into the party, and after that we were going on Cumtown and stuff. So I don't want to mess up the timelines. I do believe
because I think the only reason I know this is because he was plugging, or you or both was plugging
on Cumtown.
On Cumtown.
We had other shows planned after that though. I have to remember the timeline, but we had other comedy shows planned after that. So Bam had said to me, "I'm doing this party. come stay at my house, and then afterwards we'll go back out and do the shows. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then he also wanted me and him to perform our show at this party, you know? So that was like the Unfiltered tour was going to be a part of the event when he was about to play his movie. He was going to allow me to do comedy, and there was going to be, 5,000 people there. And
bands and fucking, it wasn't him. Did him come? It wasn't him.
Yellow
Come?
Wolf's crew, a bunch of MTV people, Nitro Circus people. Danny Way was there, and tons of professional skateboarders, and just a bunch of amazing people, man. I mean, millionaires too, just tons of people. And they all were going to see me do my thing. Cause the show was for me. He really wanted a best friend. And I think
I feel like a dude like that, you're right, is like, as much as like he was like, you guys had your moments where you're cool and you're having cool conversations, then he's like, fuck you, Vinny, and then he's back to normal and blah, 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 blah. A guy like that is probably pretty fucking lonely. Yeah. As much as he had his boys, like that whole crew with Jackass and whoever else.
You hit it spot on. So
those guys all seem so lonely, though. Just not even him, just like millionaires in general,
Couple days before the party, he called me and was like, I had a couple comedians that would always be with me. And he's like, yo, come meet me here. It was somewhere in Pennsylvania. There's a bar, and Yellow Wolf's coming. And there's only a few people, but it's going to be sold out, like maybe 100 people only. And, as I get there, the comedian guys are like parking the car, and Bam is like waiting in the middle of the street and will not go in until I'm with him. And that place, we hung out like almost the whole night, but I kind of like let him do his thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I always smoking weed. So I'm like running outside to smoke weed with some friends or some people I met. So I'm not like up his ass. And I come back in, and he's like, when I was younger and I did Viva La Bam, he was like, there was always like 50 people every day when I woke up. There was 50 people there ready to get me ready to do the show and this and that. He's like, and I just, sometimes I miss that. And he's like, so if you can stay, he's like, at my house, I would let you stay as long as you want at the castle. And I said, dude, I have a fiance and a stepdaughter back in Connecticut, like, and a production company and all the stuff I do with comedy. And he was like, well, because he lets like skaters sleep outside and under the ramp and shit, but he made sure the top suite was for me. And so anytime my wife wanted to come, or like
cool.
Yeah, he was a great dude like that. Like he wanted to make me around because he also knew I would keep planning productions. And what do productions have? People around,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he kind of figured like, okay, Vinny could be this guy, but also he also wouldn't let me like around when he was getting fucked up bad. Like he'd always like say, he actually had me bring Nikki and his son one night to one of his brother's kids' plays at a school. So he goes, you want to go see Jesse play the drums with his kids in a play? His brother Jesse from CKY.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't even know Jesse was at the time. It's no lie. I didn't even know. And
dude, I'm just finding out now that his brother was in CKY. I wonder why they loved him so much.
Jesse's a fucking awesome guy, and actually warned me before I got fucked over, but what are you going to do?
Exactly.
He's a good dude. And so he goes, you want to go see Jesse? And I was like, yeah, dude. Like, I'm just, and he goes, okay, great. Here's the keys to my Range Rover. Bring Nikki and Phoenix over to the fucking school, and I'm going to stay here and edit my movie. And then I'm going to go out for some drinks. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, you're like, I thought we were going to see your brother. Like, not like me babysit your wife and kid.
I drive now. I also have another comedian, 2 comedians with me. Okay. I'm sorry. One of them's a younger Spanish dude. The other one's like, he's actually pretty well known, but his name's Rodney Norman, and he's got a huge gray beard, and like, so it just looks weird when you're showing up to an elementary school,
fucking walking into a school.
So I had them wait in the car at first, and I took Nikki and the baby, and I'm carrying the baby, who was in a car seat at the time, up to the school door, and April Margera comes up, and she looks at me like I was kidnapping them, bro, and was like, "Who the fuck are you?" And I didn't blame her one bit.
Oh, you never met her yet.
Dude, met Nikki. Just met Nikki.
Like, hey, you're the woman from the TV show.
I said, I'm a guy that is a comedian that is supposedly working with Bam on some stuff, and he asked me to give her a ride, and that's all I'm doing, and making sure she gets in okay. I'm like,
meanwhile, you're just some fucking dickhead with her grandson. She's like, who the fuck are you, dude?
Exactly. And then Phil is a sweetheart. He's sitting there, and he's in a wheelchair now, and he had like 4 hot dogs in his lap, and he's like, you want one? And I'm like, I just remember him not giving a fuck, about anything.
Well,
And
he's got to be so numb to all of that at this point. Now, were they, let me ask you this, were they wealthy before this? Because they had like a sick ass house and shit, like the family, like the Margeras in general, Phil and April.
oh, I don't want to say anything about anything I don't know. I know that they're great people and they do love
Yeah.
their son. I do believe they have been in control of his finances for a long
I'm not
time.
even saying his. I'm saying before
I
Bam was
know.
famous.
I can imagine because
Gotcha.
like you watch stuff when he's younger and they have the money to take him to skate competitions and all this stuff. So I imagine Phil was a hardworking guy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
He
But
seems like it.
but I do believe that, when you're worth $50 million and you have smart parents like that, they're going to take control of it and make sure that at least most of it is
Yeah,
secured
imagine
somehow.
if his parents were like real fuck ups. You know what I mean? Like Britney Spears type parents where they take
Dude,
over the finance and just rob them of everything.
the only thing that I have a gripe with is that, so they paid me the first time and apologized. And they were more like, at the time, Phil didn't really say like, don't do anything else with Bam. At the time, they were more just like, be very careful what you do. And from then on, we had really, really planned these a lot better and with more time for him. And he had even gone through rehab and stuff like that. And he wanted to continue to do the shows. It was like it was pushing him to get better, to try to get out there to see his fans again. But that when it really fucked up, they didn't want to hear anything. I mean, they literally gave me his manager when he fucked me the last time. His manager said, "I think Bam's gonna have to pay you this time." He goes, "He really fucked up this time." He canceled the day of another huge leg of our tour that was supposed to happen.
Yeah, hundreds
And
of people. Like you said,
each
$50
city,
tickets and shit,
dude,
minimum. Like,
venues are putting up money for travel expenses and advertising and all this stuff,
mm-hmm.
and so everybody's getting fucked left and right, and like, of course, I'm the one I'm the guy, I'm the one to blame, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like,
Old scumbag Vinny, dude.
well, what
Hold the bag.
really fucked me up, dude, was Steve-O talk. Now, Bam's manager is a two-faced fuck guy because he's the one who hired me, but at the same time, when the castle party was going to shit, he was kind of collapsing and didn't know what to do, and I took over and did damage control because Bam had spent about $100,000 to throw this party.
Jesus
So
Christ, dude.
to try to salvage as much of it as possible was the actual goal. And he already took it in about $20,000 in sales he had spent on flights for the celebrities and whatnot. So he couldn't return the money, and his parents weren't going to give him the money to return. So at one point, I just remember we had gone into 3 different cities, and cops had shut us down into 3 different cities in 2 states to relocate the party with only hours to go. And I'm in Croydon, Pennsylvania, screaming at his manager in front of 4 venue owners at this brewery, 2 police officers. Like, there was a whole crew of people there. The sound production people, CKY's production people, were all setting up the stage and everything. And I'm sitting there screaming at this guy going, "You don't understand. If these fucking decisions aren't made right now, this does not happen." It was just a lot of shit going on with putting up the stage and where, and if we could even do the show, and do we have enough people coming, and do we have enough people to control parking and all this stuff. It was a lot of stuff. And that was when Nikki Margera actually went up to Bam and said, "You listen to me now. Vinny controls everything going forward." And that was the only way I was going to continue working. And so I had complete control of almost pretty much everything at that point. I mean, I remember like 50, 60 skaters showing up just screaming and chanting my name as a line of people are waiting to get in this place. Because at the time, I saved the party.
Yeah.
The next day, man, and it was a wreck too. I bombed for 45 minutes on stage.
Oh, brutal.
Bam, actually, they weren't letting him come on. And they were like, "No, dude, let this guy take the heat."
I'm just eat a dick to all
Bam,
these fucking the masses.
after about 45 minutes, Bam didn't let that happen. He came on and we did our thing for a little while, which actually just made me feel like even though people around him were trying to push him from me, he was like, "Nah, man, I'm not going to let this guy sink with my mistakes,"
That's
But
cool.
he fucked up a lot of shit because Yellow Wolf wouldn't even perform. They didn't tell me that, so I introduced Yellow Wolf as if he's performing. And then he comes on stage and says, "I'm not going to perform." And
Why?
people, they said the sound wasn't right, but the truth was Bam didn't. Obviously, he did it for free, so Bam didn't pay him. It wasn't at the castle in a skate bowl with 5,000 people like Bam had promised. It was 500 people in a fucking brewery somewhere.
Yeah, okay.
It was like just not what he promised, And the next day, I'll never forget waking up, and I had my wife had already been freaking out and like wanted me home. And like the next day, I just say to myself, and this is a lot of stuff I will include. I'm writing a book about this, and not just about this. I have a lot of other stuff that happened to me in the last 3 years of my life that has nothing to do with Bam. So it's a small part of the book is going to be about this. But, you know, basically the day after, I remember having to go home to my wife. She wasn't with me through that 6-7 day period that I was stuck at the castle. It was even more than that, I believe. And I called Jessica and I'm like, I'm coming home. And I see Bam. I'm like pulling out at 10 a.m., dude. And I see Bam outside. He didn't drink at the party. He had a terrible time. He was stressing the whole time. And he said, dude, you really fucking saved me. He said, you really fucking saved me back there. And I'll never forget it. And he said, is there anything I can do for you? Let me know. And I said, dude, can I please book this tour properly now? And can you give me a few months of your life to like make something of myself? I mean, I really did help you big time. And I remember getting paid like $300 for the party.
Yeah, party that was 100 G's.
I got arrested. I mean, a lot of shit happened. And I almost went to jail from a previous arrest I had. And so like I paid more in lawyer fees and shit and bail money. But I was like, you know, can we do this? And he goes, yeah, man. He goes, we're going to do it. And not only are we going to do it, we're going to do it bigger than ever. And so there was those moments that make me not stop the fight now to make sure that shit gets either rectified or at least my story gets heard, you know?
Yeah. So let's like wrap this whole thing up. Like, so this happens and then the party happens, the West Side Comedy Club incident happens and everyone's starting like TMZ.
Well, that's when the wife kind of turns on me because like at that point she just wants Bam home and not out getting fucked up. You know what I mean?
Like a typical wife with the son does.
The biggest mistake she made was coming. She wanted to be around him every waking minute, and bringing your son and her around there, it always intensified his, you know, intoxication levels. Like truthfully, whenever she wasn't around, we would perform. He's drunk. He wants to perform for people. He wants us to put on a good show. He wants me to put on a good show. When Nikki's around, it just seems like he's always worried about when she says, don't do this, don't do that. And he gets crazy and it just goes nuts, you know? And so like, but then, you know, truth is I had so much money invested into it at that time that Nikki had called me and said, Vinny, I gave you control. I gave you everything. You have to make sure that nothing goes down forward without me approving it. And I'll be honest, I gave her my word at that time, but I knew that she was going to shut everything down for a long time. And I knew that I had people's money on the lives that they weren't going to put back up because their parents had already said, we are not going to give you the money back. We're not going to pay Bam's fuck up again. So I had talked to Bam's manager, and this is where he goes back and forth because he's like the one telling Steve-O, I'm not authorized to book shows, but then he's calling me saying, can we get some deposits? Can we book these shows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a fucking mess, dude. The truth of it wasn't I really wanted to paint the picture when I did the Scumbag Vinny thing that I'm Italian and this guy didn't get over on me and I fucked him and this and that. But the truth is, it would only have worked, and we had planned this, if Bam had come back and done shows with me or gone on the radio with me.
Yeah. So how did it all end? So the West Side Comedy Club thing happens. Everyone's seeing the fucking video. And then
we went on for another fucking 6 months of just booking shows
debauchery,
and
just like it cancels, you do it. It's a fuck up. It's this and that. And then how did you guys split? What's the end of you and Bam?
So the end of me and Bam was when he was texting, he was texting me to put together a comedy bit where a lot had gone down, man. This guy was going fucking crazy and wanted to go on Dr. Phil. And I wrote a bit with him.
Dr. Phil Margera?
I wrote a bit with him where I was Dr. Phil and I was going to, it was just a bit I wrote, but he was like, I'm taking this to the next level. And so I think that was it. I think because I also have that written down somewhere in his house. We wrote a lot of stuff that I left there that, he actually did go on Dr. Phil and put his family through all the stress and got, dude, this guy was in and out of rehab and getting arrested and all this shit. And so I kept pushing the threshold of, I don't care if he doesn't want to do these shows, but I need to be paid for this. I need to be rectified. And at one point they were ready to do that. And then I got on the phone with his lawyer and I didn't have any contracts signed with Bam. So the guy's like, Bam gave me directions to fight you until you live under a bridge, were his exact words, Damn,
so, dude.
Yeah.
Did his name end in Bergerstein, this lawyer?
Yeah.
Of course it did.
Yeah.
Fuck. So that's the end of that.
For now,
Yeah, for now, but that was the end of like your relationship as far as that saga
not
went.
really though, because
No, as far as that saga went, that was
yeah,
the
well,
end of the tours, the fucking
I
trap, all that
I
shit.
discovered TikTok, and I realized nobody had talked about Bam Margera on TikTok yet. So I had posted all our stuff during quarantine from the year previous, and it went viral and got like 4 million views, and I got like over 60,000 followers from it.
Damn, dude.
Yeah, so
Crushing it.
people
Plug the TikTok. I'm not on there, but my mom is.
I
My
don't
mom's
even
on TikTok.
listen. Mostly what I do is just steal Bam's Instagram videos and just post up my synopsis of what's really happening. You know what I mean?
Dude, you gotta do what you gotta do, right?
I guess I'm just trying to get the word out there, man, is all at this point, because
What's your TikTok? Plug it real quick.
It's at Scumbag Vinny.
At Scumbag, Vinny, right?
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
IE. All right,
Yeah.
word. So that's the end of that for now. We'll see where that goes. Dude, I want to get into, are you trying to fight Nick Mullen? What's going on there?
Dude,
what happened with you and the Mole Dog?
So Mullen is one of those guys that, it's very rare that an ego like mine gets humbled, but he is really good at what he does.
The best, dude. One of the
he
funniest
makes
fucking people in the world.
He makes a ton of money, and he's good at what he does. He's a good businessman. I actually seen Nick Mullen before he was famous on Cumtown. I'm friends with this comedian named Mike Briskin, and he was on the Stars comedy show. And Mullen was one of the comics on the show.
I've seen that clip. He talks about breakfast cereals, I believe.
Yeah. And I laughed really fucking hard.
Yeah.
So when I had met him at the Cumtown recording, I had actually negotiated with Stavros to do the show. When I showed up, I was texting Nick beforehand. Nick, was very professional and stuff, and was like really to the point that he didn't want me on the show, and he didn't know who I was, but actually he ended up becoming very fascinated with my character, and
oh, for sure. They talked about you this week.
Yeah. And and he had this like whole plan for me to I don't know if you remember 2 weeks ago on Cumtown, he was talking about this Mark Halperin tour that he was putting together. And so Mark Halperin from MSNBC, he was wanting to put together a comeback tour, and Nick Mullen was like negotiating with his agent to have me host it, and like bring them on.
I don't remember that episode, but
Nick,
yeah. That's
after the Bam shit fell apart, Nick told me that in confidence, was like, do not tell anybody. At one point, Nick will deny this, but he offered me, I wouldn't say a producer spot on Cumtown, but like a producer is someone who produces. So he wanted me to find like unique talent, like maybe a Bagel Boss or a Bam or a Steve-O.
Scout out some real characters. Like
he kept talking about Steve-O, he wanted Steve-O on next, and he thought like I had this connection to Jackass, and it just was so random. Artie Lange went to jail when I was working with him. Bam's manager called me. I met Bam. I never met like the whole Jackass crew. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So I was like, yeah, I'll get Steve. I was like telling him anything almost, but he also didn't want me to talk about Bam. He wanted me to like let that die out, and like let it come back. And he was smart about that, because I didn't, because it was all I had. So I'm like, my radio show I had started now has listeners in 57 countries. And I know it's because I troll Bam, but it's not a huge following, but when you have seeds in that many places, I feel like I just was like running with that. Yeah. And Mullen didn't like that, and I think like kind of like stopped communicating with me after that. I feel like I started posting about Bam again and stuff, and just went off his track of what he wanted me to do, and so then I started getting desperate, and because I really wanted to go back on the show really bad after the Gene episode, because everybody was like leaving me. My whole production team was quitting because they thought that this Scumbag Vinny thing was going to end my career, and this and that. And I wasn't named Scumbag Vinny yet, but they just heard all the stories,
Yeah.
Actually, like what ended up happening was I said to myself, fuck all these people leaving me. I'm going to keep fighting to get on Cumtown. And eventually Nick offered me a redemption episode, and I went back on Cumtown.
I got to re-listen to that, dude, but go ahead.
I went back on Cumtown, and I just played. I didn't want to say play, because a lot of it is true too, but I just told them a lot of real stories of some fucked up things I had. And anytime they asked me a fucked up question, I answered it even more fucked up. And I just was like, really
you lean into it for sure. I got you.
And then that episode had an even better response. It like flipped everybody to me at the time. Like Cumtown fans are weird, man. They always say they hate me, but I have a lot more fans now because of that new episode.
I know a lot of Cumtown fans, and they are most of them are very strange. I'll tell you that much. Most of them are like severely autistic, really.
I think they think I would like be a dick to them. I think that's the thing too, is they think I would be a dick to them, But
even then, it's almost at the point where you're the fucking bad guy in the WWF. You know what I mean? Like there's no such thing as bad press. Like you lean into
right.
it.
So 2 weeks. So Nick is doing a good thing by talking about me, and they always plug my podcast and shit. And Look, the last time I
I
went
like
on
that
the
you
podcast,
just did Scumtown. That's fucking hilarious. You're like,
I'm the
oh, let's do
scum.
Cumtown with an S. I'm Scumbag Vinny. What's good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, it's just stupid. I don't know.
You
I'm not
still you
really.
still recording it regularly, or what are you doing?
Not regularly. I just
Yeah,
have done
yeah.
like 20 something episodes, and I do it every time I feel. I've had Shoe Nice on there, the YouTube legend. I've had I've had some cool, Bam had told a couple million people that I love Disney World, so I interviewed some Disney people. And
Oh, dude, that was a big Cumtown thing. Is how much you love Disneyland. That's what they would bring
I
up.
love Disney, bro. I fucking love.
Dude,
I
I've never
I live
been.
10 minutes from Disney. You ever want to come, dude? We'll go.
Wait, you're down Florida?
I moved to Orlando. Yeah, dude.
Oh, I thought you still you're a Connecticut guy
I
originally,
got
though, no?
really deep into the character. I was like,
Damn, dude, you moved to fucking Disney World. So you're near Orlando. So wait, you're a CT guy, right? You're Connecticut originally.
Yeah.
What pot? Because three of my co-hosts, one of them moved from Texas that I just quit, are all Connecticut guys.
I'm
Stanford.
I'm from East Haven. I'm from East Haven.
Dude, my fucking host lives in East Haven. My ex-host, Ski Mask. He just moved here from Texas.
Oh,
so
really?
You would know him.
Ski Mask.
Ski Mask. It was the Ski Mask Collective.
And he grew up in East Haven? That's
no.
Oh,
He's from Texas. He just moved up here to like pursue like podcasting and comedy and shit because it's close to the city. But there was 4 of us, and 2 of the other ones are Connecticut natives. They're from Stamford and Greenwich.
What are their names?
Jim Stansel and Matt Mead. You probably wouldn't know them.
And you quit the pod?
This morning, yes.
Dude, Connecticut guys are fucking, dude, please.
Dude, Connecticut guys are fucking pussies, but I will never say a bad word about Jim Stansel, Matt Mead, or Chuck.
I don't know them. I don't know them at all. I'm just saying.
Well, here's the thing, and like the fans want to hear this too. It's like, Paul, why'd you quit? It's like, number one, I'm trying to just do my own thing. But number 2, they're down in Connecticut. He just built a studio down there. They're constantly doing shit in Connecticut, in Atlantic City, Jersey. Sometimes they'll go into the city. I'm in Boston. That's just to go to Connecticut in the middle where East Haven is a 6-hour round trip. You know what I mean? I got a fucking kid.
I did it all the time, dude. I
can't do it. I can't. That was a big part of it. Is like I can't be involved in all their in-person shit.
Well, that's why I moved to Orlando. I moved to Orlando because I figured if there was going to be no more shop for me at working with like celebrities and stuff, that there's a lot of tourists here. It's a good place to do comedy. There's a lot of places to probably do it. You know what I mean? So I was like,
my biggest fan, Chad Zumach, lives moved to Florida to become Florida's greatest comedian. That fucking pussy.
Well, now he's got some real talent to compete with me.
Yeah, dude. Bro, Vinny, I will dude, if you beat the fuck out of Chad Zumach, I will Venmo you $500. If you get that on video, that fucking pussy. But anyways, so back to the thing. So Mullen, he was trying to get you to do the other.
So 2 weeks ago.
Why do you hate him or want to fight him? Go ahead.
So 2 weeks ago, and this is really personal to me. 2 weeks ago, he has this book publisher on that I'm actually talking to now. And
I heard that guy. I was like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Stavros comes on and says, if you want a really good story, go talk to Scumbag Vinny. And it's probably not going to happen with this guy's publication, but like, it's cool to have a publisher talk to me from Cumtown,
Yeah.
And I'm writing a book already that was already happening. So it was like to hear that on the radio. But then Nick brings up the Mark Halperin thing. And that's when I said to myself, he never plans on doing like that with me. So he exposed that this is like a year-old plan this guy talked about 2 weeks ago. I'm like, okay, he brought up Halperin. So like, he's not going to do anything with me, like as far as creatively like that, I guess. And then this week he comes on and he goes, they're talking about Bam. We should bring Bam back on. And then Stavros goes, only just Bam. And I knew that was a knock at me, but also his manager, Jack, his wife, his kid, and Gene were there. So they probably,
it's a whole crew. Like, he comes with the crew. Yeah.
Dude, you're interviewing one of the most famous guys in the history of the North
He's
America.
going to have his publicist, his fucking manager, this, that, and the other. Exactly.
He's trying to get sober. He's never going to go anywhere alone ever.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so he said that. And then, Nick goes, well, I think we should bring on Steve-O to tell what he thinks about Vinny. And then Adam goes, well, we should have them both on at the same time, but you don't really hear Nick confirm that he wants that. The only reason I even have found out about this, a bunch of fans started messaging me, you got invited back on Cumtown. So I was like, come on, that's so awesome. I was like, finally, I get to just do something else besides Scumbag Vinny, I get to evolve on their show. Like, I don't care if I'd be a whack packer with them. I really like the show. I like them. And I was like, all right, I could see I could see being a guest once a year even and having like to be able to make a living on my own, not scamming fans, but doing shows. And dude, I've done shows in Orlando and tons of Cumtown fans have shown up, tons of them,
For
you
sure.
know?
Just
So
on that alone, just on those
yeah.
2 episodes of Scumbag Vinny.
And Bam fans,
Yeah,
Artie
yeah, yeah.
fans, you know, a lot of people. So I want to continue to grow that and actually have a chance at real redemption, which is to stop all the sketchy shit I've done in the past, you know?
Is that the goal, to leave you scamming people in the past and
Yeah, dude. I mean,
just be Vinny Beedle?
dude, the truth
Excuse me.
is like when you're raised around people that teach you how to be a certain way, you truthfully think like most people are like this. And then you find out not a lot of people are like this. So you
Yeah.
don't want to necessarily be like that. But at the same time, it kind of comes second nature to me. I don't even want to say I have remorse for everything I've ever done. I do have remorse for some things I've done, some things I know I had to do to get where I wanted to be. And that's just the way this
Sure.
business works. It's an unfair business. Comedy is a fucked up business. I did comedy since I was 17 years old. I have produced shows since I was 17. Guys in Connecticut, like Pat Oates, have blocked me from any kind of real success only because I produced my own shows and had a large following in New Haven, Connecticut. And he ran a comedy club there. And so like they only used me on like Thursdays or Sundays or places that times
Yeah,
that I could bring,
bullshit fucking shows.
that I'm bringing more people than they do on their weekends. And it started like that and evolved into many things. So when you get fucked over for so long and you're an Italian kid who doesn't give a fuck, you start to say, well, I'm going to start doing the fucking a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it becomes an evolution of that. And it's not excusable, but it's just the truth. I was a kid when I started. I wanted it to go the way it goes for everybody, but it didn't go for me that way, you know, and I had to fight for everything I ever did in my career. I had to fight for and do on my own, you know.
So with Nick, like, what's the deal? Do you want to fight him? What's the deal with that?
I just feel disrespected because I don't have any kind of following. You know, Steve-O's got millions of people that follow him.
Everyone knows Steve-O.
Steve-O is also a fucking leech.
Real quick, Vinny, funny story. I saw when I'm an ex-addict myself. When I was in rehab in Los Angeles, I saw Steve-O at a meeting.
Really?
Oh yeah, dude. I was like, fuck, it's fucking Steve-O.
How was he in real life? Was he cool? Or?
I didn't meet him. I didn't really get a chance
did he
to talk to
speak
him.
or anything?
He went up and spoke. He just did typical fucking AA
I'm Steve-O,
bullshit.
yeah, poor beer.
He's just puking on the AA stage. But yeah, no, it was just bizarre. Like I seen him, and I also saw Robert Downey Jr. at a fucking.
Oh, that's awesome.
When you're in LA, dude, when you're
Man?
in LA, you'll be there with like a homeless guy, 100 other people, and then like a mega millionaire celebrity will be in like some church somewhere. Like I did like 30 days in rehab out there, and they make
so basically the whole the real beef with Nick right now comes down to like, you know, obviously if he wanted me on, he'd have me on. So he doesn't want me on the show. I know that. He wants Steve-O to come on, which Steve-O's only opinion of me, he's never met me, is, you know, him trying to stop Bam from going to do these shows because he thinks Bam won't do meth that way. But I think it's because Steve-O's comedy shows don't sell as many tickets as ours do. So he doesn't want, and we also have the same people going to our shows that we do Steve-O shows.
Sure,
so,
it's the same fans.
Yeah. So he doesn't want, you know, people paying $100 to see Bam, then they can't afford to go see Steve-O. You know what I mean? So,
yeah.
Right. And that's a big deal, I guess. So, you know, I just know that, of course, it would give me the same recognition I've had for a while, but I'm sitting here currently trying to change all that. And I feel like it doesn't allow me to let it go. Number one. Number two, it's not fair unless he lets me come on afterwards and is willing to like openly say that. Number three, he doesn't really owe me anything. But at the same time, as a man, if you're going to try to bully me on the internet with people, you guys are super famous dudes, we could just meet like men and just fucking sort this out. You've been fucking doing push-ups and sit-ups in your fucking house for 6 months. I have nothing left to lose. Yeah. I know where he lives. I don't give a fuck anymore.
Everyone knows where he lives. I have his address. He gives it out to everyone.
Look, I was there before. I'm not afraid of the guy. I don't think it's funny. I don't think he had.
Let me ask you this: how much? Sorry to interrupt, but how much taller are you than Nick? Because Nick's a short guy.
So Nick, the funniest thing I say about Nick is that when I first met him at Jeans, he was before he was big, right? But you know when people start lifting and
before he was shredded, like
yeah, dude. But he was puffed out. He puffs out. He comes like this. He'll come talk to you like this. And I'm like, settle down, little guy. You know, like I got some tough friends that are small dudes. And I'm not saying he can't fuck me up, but
little guys have to give off that vibe, though.
He's got such a little guy syndrome. Why do you think he stays in his house, man? He's always from the neck here. He's always like this. I mean, he's probably 3 to 5 inches shorter than me.
And
You
he's
know,
like what, 5'6",
between 5'5" and
7"?
5'7". I'm
He's a short
5'9",
guy, man. Yeah, he's a short guy.
and I got a lot of weight on me. I'm not worried about shit, man. I fought a lot of times in my life. I ain't
You're
worried about
also
that.
in Florida. He's in New York.
And
What are
I
the
got
odds you're actually going to scrap? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to. Oh, Vinny's frozen.
I'm not frozen.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
You saying that there's no chance of that?
No. I'm saying, what are the, like, I'm not saying you wouldn't scrap. I'm saying, what are the odds that you're going to be in Brooklyn? He's going to come out of his house and be like, let's have a fair one, dude.
Let me just say how
You know what I mean?
how deep into this I am. If Steve-O goes on that show and I get the same reaction I did after the Gene episode, I'll be outside his house with a 10.
It's on site. Okay.
I'll be
You
outside
heard
his
that
house.
on the offensive first. It's on site if he gets trashed by Steve-O.
And it's not even on site. I'm on a plane.
Ooh, he's on JetBlue, dude.
I'm quarantining outside of the house.
I know that JetBlue flight from Florida up to the Northeast, dude. It's 3 hours, dude. Real quick.
That's it. I could be there
dude.
I could be there for dinner. You know what
dude,
I mean?
And Nick's one of my fucking favorite dudes in the world, and it's funny to see like you having like, you know what? I'm gonna go fuck up Nick Mullen.
Well, dude, I know he's funny. I actually like him, but you know what?
He's awesome,
every talk we've had is, oh, you're a scam artist, but I'm better than you at it, you know, and you got to learn from me and this and that.
Wait,
but
this is him saying this to you?
Yes, of course.
I mean, he's a pretty good scam artist as far as charging $5 a month to talk about cum, but it's hilarious. You know what I mean?
And he's like, you got to learn from me and this and that, but he never showed me any genuine like care to have like me like be involved in any other way than.
Dude, Nick's like a fucking. He's from what I've listened to hundreds of hours of this kid. He is like just a shut-in type dude. You know, he surrounds himself with like a couple of friends maybe, and that's about it. You know what I mean? It's
I don't think he understands the power of his voice, though. You know, I put my phone number on the internet after the Gene episode, and I received over 20,000 calls in a month.
I bet you like 19,000 would come down with.
You know that, like, as a comedian, there's no shying away from this. Like, I can't go get a job at Margaritaville and post one of their flyers and not have a cumboy say, "Go kill yourself."
Yeah.
You know, so
kill yourself, dude. You ruined that one episode I didn't like.
Yeah, because it was the fucking Jeffrey Epstein episode that they wanted Nick to go off on. That was the Scumbag Vinny episode.
Oh, was that right when he got arrested or when he killed himself?
No, when he died. Yeah.
That was right when he killed him. Oh, like air quotes. Air quotes, killed himself.
So I mean, look.
So it's on site with Nick if he trashes you more. That's basically what you're getting at.
Just keep my name out of your mouth, man. You don't want me to have anything to do with the show. You can only push a guy who's losing it so far, man. You know what I mean? Like
before you go full Joker on him, dude.
That's it, dude. That's it.
Oh my god. All right, so that's it, dude. With Nick, fucking.
There's also like shit written about me that I've like already killed Adam and stuff. So like I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even be a real suspect for like 3 months. They'd probably just read everything online about me and be like, oh. It's hard to cancel a guy that's already got all this shit written about me online like that. I mean,
oh, dude, yeah, you're like, you're not canceled, but it's like you can't cancel Scumbag Vinny. He was never like canceled. You were always in that gray area as far as like you're not gonna be on fucking the late night shows. You're not gonna fucking, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
You never even had the opportunity, but that's fine, dude. It's like
you want to know actually a cool story. I was running shows at Broadway Comedy Club in New York for a few years.
Yeah,
and John Reinman, who used to write for The Tonight Show, was my headliner every night for like 3 months. And I was there like once a week, and I would always throw him a few extra bucks. And he was a really nice guy. And he thought I was funny, but he also knew I wasn't like late night material. And that was the moment I knew that, because he had invited somebody for an audition in front of me in the green room. But then looked at me and was like, you take my card as well, but you really need to work on what we're looking for, you know, and was like,
yeah, there's a certain like thing you have to do. You have to follow the structure.
Like, there's no fucking
doing that.
Yeah. They don't want me going on TV and shooting the host like the Joker did. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many fucking comedians that would never be on late night television. You know what I mean? That's just, and that thing's dead anyways. Bro.
I know.
TV in general is fucking dead.
But you know what? At 17, when I started, I had a bunch of guys in their 30s and 40s teaching me comedy. So, you know, it's always that connection I have to the, you know, getting the pass to the couch. And I feel like I'm one of those last young dudes that experienced that hearing the stories and who got to
Sure.
do it. And
So you're hearing from guys 20 years older than you at whatever that they're, oh, you got to get on,
sometimes
David Letterman.
Sometimes even 30 and 40 years older than
Yeah. I got to get on Letterman, Vinny. That'll get you. Yeah, exactly. It's not that.
You'll make it.
Dude.
You'll make it to the top. Yeah.
It's not that.
Well, I think that's why a lot of Connecticut comics really started hating me when I got on Cumtown, because to them that was the Tonight Show.
Seriously, Cumtown's fucking huge. I mean, it's not David Letterman, but in this day and age, when you were on 2018, 2019, something like that.
Yeah, 2019. Yeah.
I mean, dude, these guys have hundreds of thousands of people.
I had no idea. Nick told me 10,000 people listen. I'm like, that's good, man.
Maybe back then, maybe. I mean, they weren't that big.
Dude, he told me their numbers he really told me the numbers, and I was seriously like, to know that possibly 1 million people have heard about me is fucking awesome.
For sure, 1 million people or more have heard your name.
And every day I get new messages. So, do I really want to fight Nick? No, I'm mad right now. He gave me something I will have notoriety forever. I do love him and thank him for that. I just wish he would understand that I do have
patch it up with Nick, dude.
But there's no talking to him, man. He completely celebed up, completely untouchable. Can't get in contact with him. I have 60,000 on TikTok. I even started threatening him on TikTok. Like answer me, bro.
How many TikToks Nick got?
20,000. He's a son. He's a little son to me, dude. He's a little son to me.
Vinny's crushing Mullen on TikTok because I'm not on there, but I seen the clips on Twitter of him.
I got a demographic from like 8 to 12 years old. So,
that's TikTok, dude. You're nailing it.
You want to know the truth though? My TikTok following, even though it's a kid's app, is a lot of older people because the BAM hashtag.
Buddy, my mom is on TikTok.
Yeah.
I don't have it. My wife doesn't have it. I'm 28.
You should get it because it is good to promote your shit, man. I've gotten a lot of views.
Dude,
on
my mom is on Boomer alt-right TikTok. It's hilarious. She just sits there scrolling through like.
She's probably seen me. Maybe she's seen me on there.
Maybe, dude. I mean, it's crazy. I watch her scroll through it, and I don't get it. I don't know.
I think if you'd ask her the hashtag Scumbag Vinny, it's got like 3 million views.
I'll hit her up. I'll be like, yo, follow Scumbag Vinny.
Oh, dude, I would love that. I'd follow back immediately, man. I really would.
Well, she's not like Fenz's mom on fucking TikTok.
I'll just follow back any old lady I see for like
just some old broad from Boston just screaming about the Democrats. But
hopefully
I hope you can patch up with Nick because I like both of you. Now, let me ask you this. My buddy Chuck works at the Stress Factory in Bridgeport. So Connecticut guy works there, said you were fucking persona non grata in the Connecticut scene. Obviously, you have Scumbag Vinny everywhere. You fucking, you know what I mean? That's like your thing. Yeah. You got a beef with Pat Oates. I used to have beef with Pat Oates. And I actually did, I think it was it's not on my new YouTube because I just quit and took some of the episodes. 2 or 3 of Offensive that I did with Ski Mask. And it was 60 minutes of me just destroying Pat Oates' life. Now, since then, he took it. I mean, I did a whole hour about just shitting on this guy because he was trashing my buddy, Ski Man. He was trashing my co-host, Oh,
wow.
So he made like 2 or 3 snide comments about this, that, and the other. So I was like, fuck this guy. He's a fucking, whatever. So I did a whole hour just destroying this guy's life. And he took it very well. He never came after me. He never did a rebuttal.
He's good at doing that. He
never did anything. I was very shocked because I did the same thing with Chad Zumach and we're at war.
The difference with me is I'm so vicious and I know real things about him that he won't respond to me sometimes. You want to know the truth? He actually did about 60 straight episodes of his podcast where he would start it by saying I owed him $200 because a show canceled that he was supposed to headline and he needed the money to feed his children really badly.
Come on, Patty.
Dude, when I ran my own comedy club in South Windsor, it was years later, I paid him like $400 to headline the first show for like 40 people I didn't even like him, just to fucking say, a show canceled. It's not like I rebooked somebody else. It was a mistake. Yeah. And you went trashing me for months. Let me tell you something, not even that. I took his job at Jokers Wild as the manager there at one point, and I mean, we go super way back. I did a show at Foxwoods once. I had like 30 or 40 people show up and he said it wasn't enough and he threw me off the show. All my people left. Like we have like deep rooted history.
So you got beef going way back in the Connecticut days.
Literally 13 years. I've done a lot of fucked up shit in comedy. I started as a 17-year-old with tan skin and spiky hair and a bunch of friends. And I thought I was a fucking badass. And I still, up until my mid-20s, did some really fucked up business decisions. But I also did a lot of great shit for comics in Connecticut. You can do a good thing for somebody and they might tell 5 people. You do something bad to somebody, they might tell 1,000 people.
That's a fact,
so,
dude.
You know, when you've done comedy as long as I have in Connecticut, and I produced probably over 300 to 400 shows. I was producing like 3 to 5 shows at once a week in Connecticut. I was giving comedians opportunities other places. Of course, there's going to be beefs come up. I actually basically scouted out the Stress Factory managerial job 3 years in advance by driving to New Jersey like 3 times a week and going to the Stress Factory and talking to Vinny Brand and telling him, you know, I'm going to manage this club one day. I'll move to New Jersey. I don't give a fuck. Let me produce shows here.
This
and
is before the Bridgeport one?
This is way before. And he said,
yeah.
I'm opening a club in Connecticut in a few years. Stay patient. And when he opened the club, they weren't bringing in any comedians or anybody yet, but I was so eager that I actually went to the audition where they were interviewing like waitresses and waiters and whatnot. And so there was like 100 people there to interview for like staff positions.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife was waiting in the car and we were putting quarters in the machine. And I was in there for 6 hours waiting. And they purposely left me in there because they wanted to see, I wasn't supposed to come that day. And they wanted to see if I was going to crack and just leave or not. And I stayed there the entire time. And then Vinny Brand goes, is Vinny Beedle still out there? And I said, you know, yeah. And I came in, I sat down with all his managers. True story, dude. Never going to forget this. They looked at me and they said, you have some kind of tenacity we've never seen in our entire lives. You are from this area. We want this club packed. You tell me what you need to do this job and it's yours. And I told them, I didn't want to insult them because I ran my own production company. So I will email them the next day with my offer. I told Vinny Brand I wanted $1,000 a week plus commission on ticket sales that were sold.
Yeah.
And I had also been working in car finance at the time. So I'd have to leave 2
Hey,
jobs.
I'm in the car business too. Hell yeah, brother.
Yeah. I mean, I did that since I was a kid. So, you know, like I know my business.
You're a true scumbag if you're car finance. And me too,
I started
brother.
selling cars when I was 15. I started selling
cars when I was 17, brother, right out of high school.
Yeah, bro. You got a wheel and deal, man.
In the business,
pouring Lucas in the fucking oil, fucking
little car. Yeah, me and Vinny live in the gray area. Dude.
Yeah,
we don't lie, but we don't necessarily tell the truth. But
dude, this story gets really fucking good. Going.
And I will say this for the record on the Pat Oates thing. Me and Pat Oates, we never really like I never apologized.
Dude, we're giving him so much recognition right now. The guy's a nobody. Fuck the guy.
I was just on his podcast, man.
Oh, you were?
No. And I'm not saying like he's this or that. He's somebody who's nobody. Because my whole hour was he's nobody of the thing, but he took it so well that you
kind of got over it. Yeah.
Nothing but respect for, like, he literally he just took that 60 minutes and was just like, yeah, dude.
Well, look, let me just tell you one thing. Here's the kind of guy Pat is, and you have to understand this. I did bringer shows at comedy clubs in Connecticut. Pat's the kind of guy to hire an old man to run bringer shows and tell people that I'm a piece of shit for running bringer shows. And he's the one that's really running the bringer shows. He just puts an old man there.
He sublets it out to some goodies.
Yeah. And I fucking know that. And that's what I don't, you know what I mean? And he tells people, and that's how he gets them to do his shows. So look, we're all in the game. And we were at one point, me and Pat were in competition for a lot of years. I don't really hold any resentment toward the man. I do say fuck him. But at the same time, I believe even my fuck ups and all the shit that happened, I made it to a level he may never get to. And I don't care what the fuck he says. So I'm kind of okay with that here inside, like me. Sure. I know that through everything he tried to block me from getting, I ended up getting that and more anyway. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you know what? Anything as a kid coming in, I was bringing in 150, 200 people a show sometimes, 50 people, 100 people. It was very consistent. You would think he would try to harness that into something that would have that comedy club still open to this day. No, but instead, he basically wanted me to not be there at all, you know? So, I mean, dude, I got banned like 4 times from Joker's Wild Comedy Club growing up in my teens and early 20s.
Gone, right?
Gone, dude, gone. And it's like, anytime I was in there, we're making money, you know. Now to move on from that guy specifically into more into what we were talking about with the Stress Factory.
Sure.
You know, so I ended up, you know, getting the job, and they laughed at what I had wanted for a salary, but they, you know, Vinny had said like, we'll work on it, you know? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know what we're working on. You know, it's either a yes or a no, you know? And he's like, look, I need you right now. So then I go to helping him construct the club. Right. So for like 2 weeks, I'm really not doing too much, but I'm screwing in chairs. I'm trying to help sweep up and shit. But I'm like, I got to promote this fucking Jim Brewer show that we have opening weekend, you know? So I asked them for like what I was going to use promotional wise. And they gave me like one mail carrier box full of stuff and said to get it done. And I went out and I left it at a bunch of places, but I mean, you can only do so much with that. And from New Jersey, they were supposed to bring everything up printed, but they never did that again. So I basically went 3 weeks working at the club, stopped my productions at other places, what I was doing, and not taking a paycheck. And leading up to the show, basically what happened is Mark, the manager of the Stress Factory, didn't want me there anymore, wanted me out because he wanted to be the manager there. He had worked 15 years to get that spot. This and that, you know.
He's still there, right? If I know.
I guess so. The first night,
that name sounds familiar because my buddy Chuck works there, or has worked there, or works there. And long and short
of it is, Mark, I'm outside talking to two dudes I invited to the Jim Brewer show, and they happen to be like 400-pound guys, but they're really just nice dudes. And Mark's like, Vinny's outside with these big guys waiting for me to come out, but these guys were like sweethearts that really had no idea who Mark was, but he was telling Vinny, you know, that I was intimidating him and all this stuff. And dude, Jim Brewer really liked me. They didn't like that. Jim Brewer's manager, I parked his car for him. They didn't like me doing that. They didn't like me helping customers that needed drinks when nobody was helping them. Anything I did, they were like, so the next day, Vinny calls me and he starts yelling at me. And Vinny Brand's like, dude, if you don't listen to what the fuck I say, you're fucking out of here. 3 weeks, no paycheck, telling me I need to wash dishes for him. I said, I quit. I said, I politely declined, my friend. Yeah. You know, I was like, at the time too, as well, I just left Atlantic City. I was doing like a little residency there, working down there for a while, which made me a lot of money. And then I had worked as a manager for an actor who was in an Adam Sandler movie at the same time working with Vinny. So I just didn't feel the need, even not having Bam or Artie yet, I didn't feel the need to have to like wash dishes at this guy's place. I'll get you someone to do that. What the fuck? You know, like that's the kind of guy I am. And, you know, when Vinny didn't pay me, I ended up leaving there, going to open my own place. And me and him had a lot of fights because I would talk shit about the club a lot and like what they did. But at the same time, he had a lot of hungry comedians going for a job. And that was the opportunity for them to speak up and say, Vinny's a piece of shit, you know? Sure. And that was when all the stories came out of the woodwork, real or not, you know? So that's where you get that. But the legend of me has truly outgrown anything I've ever done, which I love actually, you know, but Vinny Brand never paid me those 3 weeks salary until Pete Davidson went to his club to do a show and walked out because
when he canceled. I remember that.
Well, when he did that, I actually know Pete started when he was 16. I was 17. We met at Joker's Wild, and then we met in our early 20s when he had already made it, and we had smoked a bunch of weed at the Stress Factory. He was super cool. We took pictures. I'm still friends with Dave Sears to this day. I talk to him all the time. Yeah. And Pete is a great dude, you know, like he's super famous, rock out. He's a great guy, you know, like I'm mad respect for him. The guys in AC who helped me out know him since he started to. So I had connections to him kind of. And I basically contacted everybody I knew that knew Pete and said, Pete was willing to throw a free show for any Connecticut fans that wanted to say, fuck the Stress Factory. I said, no charge, don't want any money. I'll get you the venue, 300 seats. It's yours, you know? And at that point, Vinny Brand was calling me and like, dude, are you really going to do this? And I was like, yeah. And then I basically told like their guys, I'm like, yo, if you could tell Pete, like, you know, to hang on, not even say he's going to do it with me, but not say he's not going to do it with me, I might be able to get paid from Vinny. And Vinny, you know, apologized, sent me a check and, you know.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's fucking
Vinny Brand caving.
Boss move, son.
Dude, Vinny was
but Vinny and me have completely peace. Like we're peace, you know, like me and that guy, we've talked on the phone.
He seems like an abrasive guy, like dude, as far as working with him. Because I'm a big Misery. Do you know Kevin Brennan at all? I'm a big Misery Loves Company fan. And Vinny was like a kind of co-host for a little interim there.
Pretty sure that guy hates me, but yeah, I like him a lot.
Kevin Brennan?
Yeah. I don't know. I think he hates me.
Kevin probably hates me. I canceled his Patreon because Chad Zumock's his co-host. So even though I'm in like a group, even though I talk to him, I've bet with him, I'm in a group chat with him, he probably fucking hates me too right now. But
well, I know he loves Artie. I know he loves Artie and anybody.
Well, he loves him, but hates him at the same time. I don't know if that's a bit where I mean, dude, he literally at one point, because you know Artie's suicide story where he stabbed himself or whatever.
I was at the show at Mohegan that he canceled.
Okay, so you know very well then. So at
I was a kid, but yeah.
When Artie was at Cumtown, Kevin showed up to Kumia's show when Artie was co-hosting and brought a bottle of bleach and was like, "Here you go, Artie, fucking finish it."
I know that.
Yeah, you know the story. So like, I don't know if that's a bit or they're cool.
It's not a bit. It's not a bit. But Artie is a very forgiving man.
Oh, for sure. He seems like it.
He's the best guy I ever met in comedy, man.
Man, now when was the last time you contacted him? Have you been in touch? He's a fucking ghost at this
I
point.
became his manager, and he was really fucked up at the time, but it makes it impossible for me to be around him now because he wants me around him, but his manager does not, because there's fear that I'm sure he feels like I don't think he's threatened by me because Tom Nietzsche is his manager, and the guy manages countless celebrities and owns comedy clubs and this and that. And he's doing a great job with Artie now, I think. But I just feel like you lose your job to a guy, you never know if it could happen again. He thinks I was the guy getting Artie drugs. Again, we've talked
I've heard
about
that.
this.
Someone told me to ask you if you got Artie heroin, and it doesn't.
No.
What you're saying?
No. I do believe he's gotten cocaine at a couple of my shows that he's been at. You know what I mean? Like from fans or something. Yeah. Never heroin. He wasn't doing heroin when he was with me, actually. You know, he was just.
Oh, he's just a blow guy.
Doing so much of it though that his nose.
There's so many stories going back to the Mad TV days of him with the fucking pig nose ripping off a pig nose.
He definitely was recovering from heroin, but he figured if he was just on coke, he can get it out of his system in time to go to court. That was his whole thing. You know what I mean?
That's not a bad move though. I mean, if you're gonna pick one or the other, I mean, you're probably more likely
to. You want to know the truth? I mean, I love him to death. I really do, and I hope me and him could really do some stuff together in the future. But Bob Levy at the time and Artie were running pretty hard when I met Artie, you know, so those were the guys that were really running hard as far as that goes, you know,
dude, Bob's my I love Bob.
Bob's been on the road with him though for 20, but Bob's been on the road for about 25 years.
So they would do it. Yeah, but Bob's not a fucking heroin guy though.
I think he's a little, you know.
Yeah. That makes
maybe he was. I don't know. I'm not, listen.
I mean, I was. I'll say it. Yeah, I mean, everyone all my fans know I was back in the day.
I'm a weed head, man. I'm a weed head, but I did go through a lot of stressful situations with Artie where I had to make sure he had money every day or he wasn't going to make it to the show on the weekend. I know
for sure, man. I mean, as an ex-addict, like say when I was in the midst of my fucking addiction, let's say 6 years ago, probably, if I was a touring comedian like Artie Lange, if I didn't have heroin, I was not doing that show.
Really? Yeah. That's what he said.
You know what I'm saying?
He would say, well, was it? He would just say he
physically
really
couldn't. You physically feel like you had.
And I'm not going to say what he did and what he didn't because he actually just was home alone most of the time doing whatever he wanted.
Just chilling at the apartment, ripping in mob reds.
Artie though, actually when he got out of jail, it was like a year and a half in rehab and all that. You know, I had no contact with him whatsoever. But Andre Kim, who's a good friend of mine.
I know. Yeah, I've seen him on Gas.
Yeah, Andre, who's a good friend of mine, basically was like with Artie one night, and Tom, his manager, was there, and Artie was acting like nothing. Because Andre was our driver, so Andre was with us every night, and so he was acting like Andre, like nothing happened from the past. And then when Tom like walked away, Artie grabbed his shirt and said, "Give me Vinny Beedle's fucking number right now." And it wasn't for what you think. He just called me to say thank you for. I put money on his books when he was in jail, and I tried to handle. I brought him to court. I tried to handle his business the best I could while I was his manager.
But you were beefing with his new manager. That's why it's like an ex-girlfriend. Like you gotta wait till the new one leaves. Like, hey, what's her number again?
At one point I was talking to Artie's mom and sister every single day, and we had a good relationship.
And they were a big part of his life, man. He always talks about his mom and his sister.
Yeah, I was talking to them every day, and then Tom ended up getting back in their ear that I was no good or something. I had this idea to make Artie T-shirts to support him while he was in jail because his mom really needed money, and she would tell me that all the time. And we sold a bunch of T-shirts, and the guy just used that to explain to them that I was trying to make a lot of money off Artie at the time. But Artie gave me permission to do it before he went to jail, and that's what we talked about when he got out. I did apologize for fighting with his manager and not communicating with his mom after they had kind of dubbed me. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I said, I apologize for that. And he said, let's get a steak dinner sometime. And he wanted me to come to the Stress Factory, but his manager had called Vinny Brand so many times. Vinny called me and said, "Hey kid, I paid you. Can you please just stay away from this one?" And I was like, dude, Artie wants me there. I'm going to go. And then they must have told Artie they weren't going to do the show because Artie called me and he was like, let's leave it to another time, And I was like, all right, it's fine. So, I mean, I had stories with the guy that still are going to be in my book and experiences with him and talks with him.
You don't want to burn him on my fucking podcast.
No, dude,
say so much.
Well, I always tell the truth. And the bottom line is, and I told this to Artie, I said, no matter what, I am a real guy. And that's why he really liked me, because he told the truth on his radio shows back in the day. He didn't fucking fabricate shit. And I don't know. And even in his embarrassments, he didn't fabricate it. So I think that sometimes he listens to people on the radio and he knows like they're fugazi and shit. So I always said to myself, even when talking about him, if people don't like what I'm saying, like it's what happened. It's what happened. So
yeah.
me and Artie, I think we're good in here. Like the guy, me and friends. I don't know if I'll ever be around him again. I did open for him a few times. I had some amazing nights. There were even shows I didn't even get on. So when people say I did it to like go on stage, there were shows I was like, okay, there's no room for me. I'm just going to do the business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he did give me opportunities to get on stage and I always did well. Would I get on stage as this, this evolving scumbag character that was like, where can I find Artie Coke and do jokes like that? Yeah, but they were loving it. Like the people really liked that content while we were performing. Artie would almost look at me after every show like, you coming to hang out with us? And I would always be like, no,
Yeah, dude, I'm going to go chill and smoke a blunt. I'm not fucking.
But we had this connection where he would not go to any show at some point unless I drove him there. He just loved me driving him and talking to him. And he always he actually offered me a few auditions at the Comedy Cellar, which I did not take. I didn't feel like I was comedically ready. And he was so grateful for all this money I was getting. Sometimes I would give him money that wasn't his and he'd have to pay me back, because he was like, Vinny, if I am not good today, I am not going to even answer the phone come Friday,
Sure. Yeah.
To pay me back, he showed up to every single show when I was in control of that. And he even made up some canceled shows after he was clean with Tom. Like, not that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He kind of pulled a Bam and canceled some shows. Like,
he cost me some money too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he went to jail when he did that.
Sure.
It
was always something.
Yeah, it's always some shit going on, but Artie is a good dude. He's got a good heart, and I wish him well and hope he lives a long life, man. I mean,
me too,
I feel like I'll be able to tell those stories to my grandkids, or even when I'm older, tell younger comedians. And he's a legend. He's like Babe Ruth to me, So
he's a complete. He even looks like fucking Babe Ruth, some fat fucking Ginzo.
And he did 2 shows for me in Connecticut, or no more than that, but he did 2 at my comedy club in Connecticut, and all my friends from high school, all my beer league friends, all the kids I grew up with came, and
he's a fucking legend, dude. Like, even people that aren't into the comedy world, who don't know the intricacies of it, they know Artie Lange from Mad TV, from the Stern Show, from whatever. From Dirty Work, whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
And I hate to talk about these things, but I feel like my truth is the only way for people to decide for themselves. Like, people have asked me, why are you doing
with the Artie? That's not like breaking news. Everyone knows how fucked up he was. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I think that's why band people hired me. I think they were like, if he could handle
knew
Artie,
how to manage a fucking out of control fucking drug addict.
If there's anybody out there that's a celebrity that's looking for somebody to do damage control, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm looking for
if
work.
you're listening, any celebrities with substance abuse issues,
hit me up.
Vinny Beedle's in Orlando, Florida somewhere.
Well, Bam canceled a Cumia show, and Cumia.
That's what we're gonna say. Yeah. So what happened with the fucking Cumia thing?
That was the day of the New York City show, but Bam was getting drunk, and he knew he had a radio show. He was super drunk, and he grabbed this lawyer guy that he was talking to at the bar, and he just drives to what I thought was Cumia. So I drive to Cumia by myself, and I walk in the studio, and Bam's not in there. And you just hear on the radio, they're like, well, Bam's people are here, and they're looking for Bam, so that can't be good, and they're like, wait a minute, isn't that the same kid that was with Artie? And they're like, Jesus, this kid. And that's what really fucked me, because they're like,
this kid's like a managers of the junkies, dude.
They called me, Cumia called me the kiss of death.
Did he, on the show?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Yeah, man, it was so funny listening to, not funny, but like listening to Cumia when it was the Artie and Anthony show back in the day. I mean, he would literally be like, I got to take a piss every 30, 40 minutes.
30 minutes, yeah.
And everyone knew he's just doing coke or heroin or both. It's like,
actually, dude. Artie even told me that one day he would if he ever started his podcast again, he would bring me on to like let me clear my name.
What did he do? One episode, his lawyer.
He did a few.
No, like recently he did like one where
letters to Artie or something like that.
Yeah, and then it was like a one and done thing.
We actually started a thing, me and him, which was going to help people to recover. It was going to be End the Party with Artie, and it was going to be like this whole
turned into like a recovery podcast. Yeah. That wouldn't be bad from a guy like that who's fucking lived it all,
I didn't really see any kind of real future with these guys, but I also knew they were super famous, that I would kind of live in this small window of infamy of being worked with them both back to back. Like, and not only that, I actually
how many people are going to listen to a recovery podcast? Is like fucking
the whole point of
junkies.
The whole timeline behind my book starts when I'm 17, but from 2018 to 2019, I had managed a legless actor in an Adam Sandler movie who was a heroin addict who died. I ended up working with TJ Miller during a very rough point of his career where he was doing the Me Too movement.
Pre or post calling in the bomb threat?
post, and he would work
Post calling in the bomb.
I believe he worked. I believe he worked with me because he was kind of like in. We have a really couple cool stories.
He's another guy, dude. You love to surround yourself with these raspy voiced fucking drunks and addicts.
I actually
TJ Miller, dude. He almost sounds like Bam.
I actually
like
think
Steve-O.
I actually think he's really funny. I loved him as a stand-up, TJ, and I really wanted to. And he's a good actor. I
liked him as a stand-up years ago, and he's a good actor. But yeah, like you said, he kind of got like a little woke. But then he got all. Then they were like, "Yo, fuck this guy." He called him a bomb threat. And
so he actually like did a really amazing show with me, and I made a lot of money. And I think if I never worked with TJ that one time, I would never have worked with Artie or Bam. So even in my toughest struggles, like TJ did cancel a show on me, and I always say, you know, like messaged me like, motherfucker, you canceled. Like, when are you gonna help me? And he's like, one time he messaged me and he's like, I have no ill will towards you, but brother, I did help you. You know, like he was like, you may not see it now, but I did help you.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And in hindsight, you were like, all right, Tej, you got me.
Yeah, but he did actually put me on the Hoboken Comedy Festival with him. And if I was going to do well there, I was going to go on his tour. But the guy who ran the festival threw me off. He said, you can't just know a celebrity and get on. And then TJ said, okay, I'll audition you in New York City. I want to make sure you can handle the New York crowd. And then it just never happened. So he actually did enjoy my stand-up. He did want to work with me. He said he still would one day. And, you know, I messaged him a fucking 100 times on Red, but if he ever does hear this, which he's on my Facebook and shit. So sometimes I know he reads my shit. He might listen to some stuff, but I have no problems with him. You know, I just hope one day we work together again. I like him, you know, so I'm going to leave that. Well, I might tell some shit. I might say some shit, TJ, in my book you don't like, motherfucker, but that's just because you did cancel.
So dude, this has been fucking great. We've gone for a long time now. We'll wrap it up with that. But Vinny, when do you think the book's going to come out, brother?
Well,
How long you got?
I really want to talk to a few more people as far as if there's any interest whatsoever because of the celebrity attachment with any kind of publicist or anything like that.
Sure.
Publishing, you know, companies, but Amazon has a really great program to publish your own books, you know, so.
Yeah, you could just like throw anything up there at this point.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, so it's soon, man. We're talking. I mean, I wouldn't even be talking like this, talking about it. I made the announcement on Facebook today, so I hope to come back on your show again, and just within the next coming weeks and months.
Great. I mean, I could literally just grab 3 more beers and keep talking to you, but like,
I mean, whatever. We
can't do a Rogan podcast.
No, no. Well, you can invite me on anytime, man. I would love to do it.
I would love that, dude. I would love to pick your brain even more, bro.
Anytime.
How many fucking stories you got, dude?
We haven't even touched the threshold, man. We haven't even touched
the threshold. I feel like it. I feel like we did a little intro for each, like the Bam, the Nick, the fucking Artie, whatever, the TJ Miller even at the end. I didn't even know about TJ. I knew about the first 3.
TJ is really cool, man. But, you know, we could save that for another time. And also, like, I met Adam Sandler and all his dudes, man. They gave me a lot of advice when I met them. And you know, not really necessarily Adam, but, you know, Rob Schneider and Steve Buscemi and all these great people I got to meet and work, just be around. And it encouraged me to want to work with celebrities and also not be afraid to be around them and stuff. So I believe I had success with celebrities because I treated them more like a normal person. So that's any advice I'd give somebody.
I was just going to say that, like, I've talked to what I would consider famous comedians, never a Sandler or a Buscemi or a Rob Schneider, because they're fucking huge outside of even comedy. I've met celebrities, but I've never, like, talked to them on a human level. But, dude, what people have to remember is, like, whether it's just a comedian that you know, like a mid-level or high-level comedian, they're just fucking people, dude.
I do have a story.
There's no difference. Go ahead, brother. Close us out on a good story.
So I have a story about a Boston. I think he's a Boston comedian that's really successful. Name? Mark Norman.
No, Norman's from he's from New Orleans. He's from Louisiana.
So Mark Norman maybe about 5-6 years ago was coming up, and everybody was talking about him, and I wanted to have him on a show. And I had booked him for a show in December. It was December, and it was in New Haven, and I'd rented a nightclub because Pat Oates had banned me from Joker's Wild Comedy Club at the time. And so I rented a nightclub to do the show, and we had sold like maybe 50 tickets. And before the show, the owner of the show club called me, this black dude, and was like, you know, we had a party last night, and Mike Epps actually showed up to this R&B party and did comedy for like 1,000 people. He's like, and the club is so filthy, I'm gonna have to charge you $1,500 just to clean the club, you know? And I was like, dude, I'm like, I don't have an extra $1,500 to pay you to clean the club. I had already agreed to pay Mark $500, and we only sold like 50 tickets. Like, that's all the money. Like, and maybe some people show up, but maybe not. Like, you're fucking me here. The show's in like 8
And
hours.
you didn't even do the Zep show. That's not your fuck up, is it? Or
No.
did you?
It's like this is like an urban club. So Mike Epps wasn't even scheduled to perform. He just
No,
showed
but
up.
why
to the
would they
club.
be like, yo, Vinny, you got to pay the fucking tab?
Because that's what the business is, bro. When you're, that's what it's like. That's just one thing that's happened to me. And so I ended up contacting Mark Norman, and I was like, this is going to sound weird. I said, I'll still pay you the $500, but I had to switch venues to a pub in New Haven. It's a small place. We could only fit 50 people. But I think after I told the venue switch, I had told Mark as well, half of the people decided they don't want to come. They want their money back, but I'll still pay you the 500. You know, I need you there. We have like 25 people coming. And he elected to, it was kind of sketchy. I'm not going to lie. Just texting me, it was sketchy. I didn't call him. It was all text. And he said he didn't want to come. And then he told a story about me on the Tuesdays with Story podcast.
Oh,
but he didn't say Vinny Beedle, but it just grows the legend even more. And, like the way he talked about it, though, that time, it just made me seem like the biggest piece of shit. And I just felt like, this is a guy that's super respected, and these things some things happen to me because I caused them, and then some things happen to me that I can't help.
Yeah, you'll admit, like, hey, dude, I fucking scam these people.
Yes.
That's the thing with
here's the thing too, man. Right?
Go ahead, brother.
I put the fucking money into everything I've ever done myself. And I've worked with tons of people in the production business as comics for years. And I felt like nobody ever worked as hard as I did unless their own money was involved. That's how I felt. So I did talk a lot of comedians to put their own money into it. And some of them still didn't work hard enough, or sometimes maybe it fell on my end. But if you lose that way, we're losing, and we're working hard together, and we're going to fix it and go right. But in this business, the minute you do something wrong for someone, they want their money back. You're a scam artist, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, dude, I've been producing shows for 12 years. Here's pictures and videos of 200 sold out shows. And because one didn't go well because you didn't do your part, and maybe people just didn't want to come out this night, now all of a sudden you're going to label me as such. The other part of it was, and this is the thing a lot of people don't get, a lot of the people that have spoken out saying I've scammed them in the comedy business are the newer comics that don't have a lot of talent, like meaning they're not funny. So it looks like I'm scamming new comics for, like, out of their money. But here's the deal, bro. There are some comedians, and I'm not going to say their names out of respect, that have been in this business for 20 to 30 years that have given me thousands of dollars that will not speak up and say they got scammed by me because they believe that, number one, it wasn't a scam. They knew the deal. They're smart enough. They're in their 40s or 50s. They understand business is not a home run every single time, number one. Number two, even if they are mad, they'd rather work it out behind closed doors. That's the only way you're really going to get any money back from me. Number three, they felt like it was going to hurt them to be known as one of the people that was involved with this because these new people were encouraged to the threshold. So if you had heard some of these comics, which you might even know, you'd probably say to yourself, damn, so Vinny wasn't just like picking off new guys. He actually was talking like 20, 30-year vets into a new way of doing business, which was the same thing I had learned in Atlantic City. When I worked in Atlantic City, they had started a company down there run by comedians where they would sell tickets every day to tourists. And at night, the show, money split up and they'd do the show. And these were a lot of good comedians. I got brought in on it. I made a lot of money doing it. I performed for sold out shows every night at casinos for a few years. Amazing experience. I went to Connecticut. We don't have walk by tourists like that.
This isn't AC, dude. This is Connecticut.
But we have to pay. But comedy clubs run at a very proficient level. Comedians could run their own clubs. We have to pay for advertising. We have to do it the right way. We have to fight through the bad times. We have to not give up. And those were things I was doing when I was building Nomad's Comedy Club. And when I brought in TJ Miller, I had, these shows with Artie Lange and TJ and Bam and stuff, I'd throw on like fucking 3-4 open micers at the beginning when people are sitting down, getting their seats and popcorn ready and shit. And I had thrown on veteran comics, giving them stage time and shows they never would have been on in their lives. So people can't deny they seen what I was doing was working. It's just that anytime it went bad, they bailed.
Well, that's a good point too, dude. And like here's two points. Number one, you admit that you have been a scumbag and fucked people over, as I have done myself in the car business in years and years and years. These things happen. The fact that you admit, like, hey man, a few times I did kind of fucking pull a fast one, Like that
Oh,
doesn't
dude,
mean mean every single time
No.
was Scumbag Vinny.
No,
I'm fucking
and
you
there are a
over.
lot of times that are just made up, and I'll just say that's a fact. But also, I paid back a lot of money to these people as well.
That's crazy that you've even done that. Because
Yeah,
as me,
dude.
someone like me, dude, if I fucking burn someone, there's
You're just
no
burning 'em.
chance I'm paying
I
them back.
know, but at the
There's
time,
no
you got to
I mean,
understand.
this is behind me. I'm a father now, but yeah.
I really believe in my business model, though, man. I do believe.
I also wasn't doing the same thing as you. But
I
yeah,
do
if someone
believe
got burned,
I do believe middlemen like Vinny Brand cut all the money out of comedians' pockets. And I do believe Vinny does a lot of the work that comedians won't do. So there's a give and take with that, you know?
Exactly.
And so I'm trying to give comedians, I was at the time, and I still will. The truth is, I've worked with a lot of great people, and I have a team in Florida right now, and there's only 3 of us, but we're doing good, man. We've only done 7 shows. They've all sold out.
Yep.
Big
only place open in the country, too. Great relocate. Did you relocate to Florida before COVID?
No, it was after.
Oh, I was gonna say, what a fucking great move. Before, like just no, but either way, great move.
It was a great move during COVID.
But that would have been
the
like
only
some Nostradamus shit if you were like, yo, fuck this, I'm going to Disney World, and then it just turns out to be
it was
the
kind of
only
in the work.
that's open.
It was in the works anyway because Bam created this illusion that everything I love was Disney. And,
dude, I seen you with the hat on that was a Mickey Mouse hat.
Yeah,
or some shit.
I always do shit like that.
Well, dude, who's laughing now? Because New York is fucking a wasteland, bro.
And we have not done as many shows as we can.
Vinny, you're from the Northeast. It right now. Let me look.
It's like a ghost town. Yeah.
Not only, I'm in Boston. Not only is it a ghost town,
it's like snowing and shit.
No, it's not. It has snowed a couple times. It's been a pretty chill winter, but right now feels like -10 in Boston.
Oh my god, dude! I was playing.
Here's my point.
I was playing golf the other day. It was 84 degrees out.
not only just the weather thing, because I moved to Arizona. I was in Phoenix for 4 years before I moved home, but they got to do outdoor shows. All these comedians I know are putting up pictures of them with the little heaters and shit. It's
now. How about this? Dude. I can do outdoor shows here, and it'll be on a beachfront somewhere. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Everyone will be wearing white. It'll be like a wedding.
It was a good move. The only thing that was tough was like I have built a big following in Connecticut and stuff. So hopefully one day I'll be able to go back there for shows. And you know what I mean?
A lot of them retire down to Florida, so maybe you'll fucking reap the rewards.
Oh, dude, I've had people show up. Like I said, we've had people show up. It's a vacation spot, so people are always going to be here. I feel like even if I never go back to Connecticut, all my fans will see me once a year. They all go on vacation.
I wouldn't if I was you. My advice is don't. I mean, I went to Phoenix and then came back to Boston. I'd rather raise my family here.
You want to know what's cool? When the comedians in Connecticut talk shit about me and say I'm like a swear word in Connecticut and this and that.
A swear word. Yeah.
It actually encourages me to go back there and do a sold out show once in a while because it still shows them like.
Now, do you think Vinny Brand, if you were like, yo, I'm going to fucking book this, that, and the other, you think you'd like,
we had talked about having a BAM show there, so I know he was entertaining it. I also know that.
Well, if it makes dollars, it makes sense.
I think he would
right?
I think I don't want to go back to Vinny Brand until I really have that following that can prove that I could sell my own tickets. And I feel like I could. I mean, not like me going out and doing it or having a small local following. I'm talking about like he could book me in Jersey and I'll sell out. I'm talking about like, and so I feel like that may never happen. But if it does, that's when. I also don't know if I want to work with a guy like that because I feel like at the end of the day, like I've been talking about this on my podcast before, and I feel like at least, I might have done some bad things, but at least I'm honest and open about it. And there are some scumbags that just are closet scumbags that
will deny it till the
day they fucking die or, whatever. And I was raised to be proud of myself, even doing some bad Italians, like,
same here, brother.
Put your chin up, be proud of yourself.
You're making money, dude. You're making money, dude.
Look, my family, truth be told, all the way back from the 70s, 80s, 90s and 2000s, my family, not me, but trafficked drugs, buried bodies. I had family that was involved in mafia activities and FBI arrests all the way up until I was 17. My uncle got arrested when I was 17 years old. They took our car dealership away and I walked into Joker's Wild. Like that's how my career started. So
no shit.
I really went through serious like stuff when I was a kid, courtroom appearances, just like FBI interviews, talking to cops, asking me questions about my uncle. And, I always gone through that kind of stuff. So what I was doing, truthfully, and this is just me, I might be stupid. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I'm like, you guys are fucking relax. You know what I mean?
Chill, dude. I'm just skimming a couple G's. Relax. There's no fucking bodies here.
I know,
fucking comedy show.
And that's the thing I don't want anybody to forget either, though, is like where I come from. Even if I lose the fight, I'm coming swinging, brother. Like that's it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Well, dude, this has been fucking great. I don't even know how long we've gone because we're not on YouTube Live, so I can't see the thing, but it feels like fucking 2 hours.
I'll promote it. Yeah, I'll promote the fuck out of it.
This
Have
is
me on.
This is
Dude,
great.
You can have
And
me on
Vinny,
whenever you want. Thank you.
Plug your shit, brother. Thanks for coming on.
Guys, anybody listening to this show, please go give me a follow on Instagram at Vinny Beedle. My TikTok's got 60,000 plus at Scumbag Vinny. My podcast, Scumtown, look it up. It's on Apple, Google, it's on a bunch of different platforms, Spotify. You can check it out. And my book's coming out soon. So that's the one thing. If any of you enjoyed my story or want to hear more about it and you want any way to support me at all, buying that book when it comes out. We've lost with Bam, Artie, TJ, all the celebrities we work with, a total of almost $250,000 invested in my business in the last 5 years. Getting that money back would only be 20,000 books sold. So it's not that much. I know that I've been an independent producer for so long. I'm even willing to do the book independently. And even if it takes a little bit longer, we're positive that it wasn't a loss in funds because the trials and tribulations that I did go through were made a hell of a story. And I do think that people will find not only me being about me, I think they'll find a life lesson in it somewhere. And and people who do I just said this today, people who like me already, even though I do appreciate their support over a dozen years, it may make them look at me a little bit differently. But the people that really hate me or think ill about me, I think it most definitely will make them look at me a little differently and probably in a good way. So it's a happy medium between, fake good guy.
We'll
Vinny
bring both together
Vinny.
to the same level.
And then they can decide for themselves, bro.
Sure.
I'm already Scumbag Vinny, so I got nothing to lose. You know what I mean?
Exactly, dude.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for having me on.
Vinny, thanks for coming on, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Maybe I'll have you back like when the book comes out or sometime soon, dude.
Anytime, dude. Anytime. I'm around.
You're the man, brother.
All right. Thanks, brother.
All right, dude.